Good morning and welcome to Things You Might Not Have Heard. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, and if it kills us, we're going to get this thing done today, right now, as I do this live or in the recording, which will also be late. I'm going to present for you 8 of the top 10 stories, 8 of the top stories from the past day that you said were conversational, not top 10. We actually picked them from top 15. So, of those 15 top stories, by your engagement, we chose 8 and we're going to give them to you for your chats on your bus ride or your office chats, things early on. Hopefully, you don't miss this because you may need these chats to get the day started. These are some of the top news stories from information, politics, current events, and pop culture that has said you help vet to get in here. We'll explain that in a bit when we get to the part after the headlines, plus a little bit of salesy stuff. We do that for keeping the lights on, if you will. And then we'll have some fun things, some other things you might not have known today, including some birthdays and some things to remember for today. Right now, let's get into the gist of it because this is the third shot of us trying to get this done. So we want to make sure we get it done because I got to get to work actually. So today, of course, is Tuesday. Buttons aren't working either. Tuesday, June the 6th, 2023, of reason why, part of the reason why things are running so behind today. And here are 8 of the top stories that you vetted as conversational for this morning. Starting off with the top one, may not be the top vote getter, may not be the top thing in importance of the world, but we all really need to know this. Taylor Swift and Matty Healy have broken up officially. It's done. Now, this has been rumored and kind of batted around for weeks now in all the headlines, but the publicists had to really make sure that this thing was done because they really didn't want to go to public with this to make sure that they were never, ever, ever getting back together. Yes, I said that. And also, Matt Healy's never, ever, ever getting back that sweater he loaned to Taylor Swift because they done that. It's been one of those things where they snuck around, did the whole thing back and forth. They were pretty much inseparable for a while, and now they're done officially. So Swifties, if you had a thing for Taylor, now's your shot. Get in there, guys. You have a shot. She dates a lot of guys. She has a pretty wide range of folks, so you may be the one to be the next one on her list of breakups. Apparently, she's back to doing that again. The next headline: small brain ancient human cousins may have buried their dead, according to a surprising study. What's surprising about it? Well, when you talk about our various other there's other species that aren't humans that did not evolve into us, there are some things that are similar because we're bipedal, we move around, how we treat things, and some things that were just sort of weird. They found that ancient ancestor, based on fossils and based on some study, showed that they actually, even though they had very small brains, which means they had very small processing power, they actually processed in a way familiar to what we do as humans now, what we did in our evolution. Now, if you don't believe in evolution, this whole story just is completely go over your head, so you can kind of skip this one, I guess. But go to the story and check out the story about Africa Homo neanderthalica. I believe that's how you pronounce it. A smaller brained version of our humanoid selves who actually did a lot of things a lot like we do, as if they thought on a higher level, higher plane. And like I said, if you don't believe in that type of stuff, then, well, you can sort of skip this one. Here's something you have to believe in: our system of politicals and a system of people judging us and people being in charge. Guess what? Another name is in the hat for elections for one to be in charge of us, that being Cornel West, who's running as an independent for truth and justice. He is literally running for president, introducing himself to America as the best that America has to fix itself. He's calling out Donald Trump. He's calling out Joe Biden. He's calling out everybody. He's basically saying disband NATO, wipe out medical debt, expand Social Security. Those are things he wants to do. He filed paperwork on the same day that Vice President Mike Pence did, which probably is a bigger story because he has a better chance of actually making it. But in the meantime, anybody who qualifies can run, and he qualifies. His paperwork's in. I'm not sure if he's getting any votes. I'm pretty sure he's not the Biden killer that people are looking to other people to be. But we will see how Mr. West, Professor West, Cornel West will do on the grander stage of them all. Good luck to you and all the other folks, including the 800 people trying to get the Republican nomination, because there's literally no chance. Apple finally reveals its long-awaited AR headset, the Vision Pro, and it costs $3,500 American dollars. It costs a lot of money, but as you may have seen if you watched the coverage yesterday, the thing looks pretty amazing. It looks like a big old bubble goggle sets, and it lets you see overlays of apps in real time and see VR stuff. Watch videos of things in VR, and as many people noted on Twitter yesterday, essentially making an episode of Black Mirror come to life. We shall see how amazing this thing is. I guess if you can afford the $3,500 to buy a pair. We assume because it costs so much, it's going to be sort of a rare find, so they don't need to make so many. It won't be a big adopter for quite some time. This is not the beginning of Ready Player One in any sense. The metaverse is not really coming to life in this way, or wherever they called it in that movie. They called it something different, essentially the same sort of deal. Everything's a copy of the metaverse from Neil Gaiman's book. But the future is now. Future is not quite as ugly, and you can actually see things, which is good, but it still looks a little dystopian. Okay, a lot dystopian. Next story. Second flight carrying migrants lands in Sacramento. California officials say Florida enraged travel. So it's pretty obvious that somebody is putting migrants on planes and sending them out of Florida and to California, specifically Sacramento, to show up at some place. These people don't know what's happening. They get on the plane. They're told they're going to get taken care of, and they eventually do get taken care of. But how do they get there? It's almost like another episode of Black Mirror. And in this case, it seems pretty simple. Someone in Florida, Ron DeSantis's orbit, his playground, is essentially shipping them on literally private jets. This isn't commercial jets. This isn't buses. This is private jets that are chartered, that have to actually, put out some sort of plan on where they're going, because you never know where big planes are going, and dropping off in Sacramento, where they're being picked up and walked away. So taxpayer dollars are paying for capital city jets, big time jets, a private jet to fly migrants who are crossing the border, legally, illegally, whatever, and fly them to some other state to be dealt with. This is not a good look. This is not a good thing unless you're Ron DeSantis, and then it's probably be a pretty good look and a pretty good thing for him. Cop City, which you may have seen over and over again if you're living in the South or living around the Atlanta area. The vote for the project went down yesterday. I don't have an update on the story. We posted it fairly early in the morning. But the $31 million controversial Atlanta public safety training system is going to be in effect essentially after this thing goes down. A city will make a center that's going to improve policing. Critics claim it's just militarizing police and endangering local citizens. We will get an update on this one so we can put it into the feeds. You guys can tell us whether or not it's worthy of talking about. But the vote for Cop City happens last night. This story did not get updated from the link we have here, so I don't have the actual update from the vote. A little history going on as well in the LPGA. Rose Zhang made history winning her pro debut in the 2003 Mizuho Americas Open. Now, this happened essentially Sunday, so it's old news. If you have not heard, here's what happened. Rose Zhang is a almost graduate of Stanford. She's not actually graduated from Stanford, but she has played 2 seasons on the golf team, and basically last year defended their title, so 2 titles in a row for the golf team. And a week later, she makes her pro debut and she wins in a playoff. So she's the youngest person to win in a pro debut in forever. Now she has to go back to school and she has to actually finish her final so she can get that diploma. But good luck for her. She's going to be a great player on the tour going forward, and probably give some of the dudes a run for their money. And very quickly, because as you said, we're running very much behind, here's a quick story that you probably missed, because you probably missed the actual movie that spun this story. If you're a fan of Adult Swim, you're probably glad that Eric Andre is back. He says he returned to his Adult Swim show because he made no money off Bad Trip. He has, best me, Mr. Andre, he's a pretty good comedian, and he has a show that's one of those quirky sort of fake talk shows that are on Comedy Central's Adult Swim. And he probably would have stopped doing it. He probably would have given up on that and did other things. The problem is, It's a Bad Trip was a hidden camera comedy movie that he filmed in 2021, which did not do very well. It actually wasn't released in theaters because the pandemic was there, so that was part of the problem. But since he put this effort into an effort that gave out very little effort, he had to go back to doing an effort that paid the bills. Maybe this next movie will do well and he can move on to the next level of stardom. For right now, you get more of Eric Andre in his clips on the social medias and, of course, on Comedy Central. Let's go to our teaser story of the day. And the teaser story is here somewhere. Let's see. We're going to hit the thing because we didn't edit very well. The save didn't go. It's been just a grand day today. Teaser story of the day is this one right here. Yeah, let's go with that. Oklahoma School Board approves what would be the first taxpayer-funded religious school in U.S. What's that mean? Oklahoma has voted to enact a charter school. No problem. The charter schools are paid by the state tax-funded entities. My daughter goes to a charter school. It's not a part of a local school district, but it's a charter and it gets state funding and it takes vouchers and things like that. All that good magic stuff that you hear talking about in the school board meetings where they're banning books. Well, part of the problem is this is not a just normal charter school. The charter is based on a religious-based curriculum, a religious-based school. This is literally a church school that's getting charter money being paid for. Now, people are believing this is a breach of separation of church and state. Seems pretty obvious, but the state voted to pay for it. We shall see if there'll be any sort of hang-ups, any sort of fights, and how this is going to go. And we shall see whether you want to talk about this one tomorrow. You just need to engage in the story, which is already in our feeds right now. But our feeds are found on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/This Is the Conversation Project and Twitter.com/th_conversation. As you see things coming up in the feed today, like it, love it, hate it, share it, engage in the stories that you see coming up that we post every 50 minutes on our news feeds. And as they come up, if it's in the top 15 stories of the morning, we will pull it in there and see if it makes the top 8 that we pull from here. This story, very controversial, should make a lot of noise, headlines across the big time news once it gets out there. We'll see if we're talking about it tomorrow specifically because we posted it today. Now we're going to talk about, even though we're running behind, making some money for us. Sponsor for today is Hostage Tape. This is a conversationproject.com/hostage tape is your link to buy hostage tape. You're not taking anyone hostage. You're actually saving your own life. Hostage tape helps you breathe well. Yes, all those people that walk around with band-aids on their noses because they want to open their nose up, how about you just close your mouth? It's a very comfortable, very safe mouth tape that keeps your lips tight so that when you're sleeping, they can't open up and you can't snore because you're breathing through your nose. When you're running and you need efficient airflow and not breathing through your mouth and huffing and puffing, you put it on and you breathe through your nose. If you're just doing chores around the house and you just have some sort of breathing issues, you put it on your mouth and you breathe through your nose. No, you can't talk. That is part of it, but you know it's about breathing through your nose. Check it out at thisistheconversationproject.com/hostage tape. This is theconversationproject.com/hostage tape. Stop by our website and visit our many of our sponsors to help keep things going on. This is an affiliate link, so we get a little bit paid when you get a little bit of paying to them. But try it out, check it out for yourself, understand what it is, giggle if you want to, but hey, you need to check out what's going on with the brand and the product that is Hostage Tape. The Conversation Project lives at thisistheconversationproject.com. And when we're having good days, we're having good days. And when we're having bad days, we have pretty terrible days. But we try to do our best to get our days through regardless. So this has been an extreme struggle of a day today. And I still have to do sort of the producing of the replay stuff and the newsletters and things like that. But those things help the entire Conversation Project be conversational, be in the conversation, get people information. If you think we're getting good information to people, maybe today you may not believe that, but if you think we're doing good information to people, we ask that you stop by our website and just see if there's a way that you can, help us out. We're going to do just the beg right now because it's been that type of morning. Go to this is a conversationproject.com/partnerships. This is a conversationpartner.com partner. This is a conversationproject.com/partnerships. Say that 3 times fast. And see if we're worthy of your contribution directly. Yes, the sponsors help because that does come to our bottom line. Yes, we do some other things to try to keep things going, but it helps to pay for all the things that makes this thing work out. My side gig, if you will, my side hustle of the media program isn't exactly lucrative, or I'd be doing more of it and have a better set things going on. This is something that kind of gets slipped in there. There are some props to doing this, but it would help out for a lot of ways if you think we're doing good stuff to help us keep going. Everyone has to do this sort of pledge drive begging thing, and that's what we're doing here. So we're looking for your help and support. If you think what we're doing here is good, or some of the other properties from More Bitter Media is good, stop by the partnerships page and let us know. Now, the best thing you can always do that costs you nothing is make sure you're engaging with us, because that gives us more Google juice in the meantime anyway. But if you think what we're doing is good enough and you want to help us get to more people and get more people behind the scenes so we can get more stuff done, might have had a much less of an issue today with more hands active in the day. Stop by the partnerships page and let us know if you'd like to help. And now, let's have some fun, because we've earned it, haven't we? Gosh darn it, yes we have. Let's go to the birthdays for today. June 6th birthdays include Cheryl Effin Baskin, 62 years old today, the animal activist and one of the stars of the Tiger King miniseries. Yeah, actually there was a miniseries and the reality show. And you know, of all the weirdness that happened in the pandemic, us getting into Tiger King was one of the things that was probably at the top of those lists. Would we have cared about the Tiger King so much if we weren't all stuck in our houses and could not go outside and do anything? You don't have to know, because we're all in this thing together. Carole Baskin also was able to parlay that into some time on Dancing with the Stars, who aren't really stars. 62 years old on the day. Still don't know where her husband is. Probably still pretty sure he's dead. Max Casella is 56 years old on the day. Name may not sound familiar, but you've seen him if you watch The Marvelous Miss Maisel. And of course, remember him back as the best friend on Doogie Howser, the actual teenage kid that went to high school, friend of Doogie Howser, the teenage doctor. He is 56 years old on the day. Makes you feel old. What makes you feel really older is that Paul Giamatti is only 56 years old, while he looks like he's much older. Birthday twins in the day for Max and Paul. One may look older than the other. One may not look like he's quite 56. One may look like he's way over 56. But hey, it is what it is. Sometimes the rough life gets you. Good actor, Paul Giamatti. A lot of things he's done. Looks a little older than 56. Let's move on to today in history. 3 hits for today for the 6th of June. Back in 1844, the Young Men's Christian Association, the YMCA, was founded in London. The dance, of course, came around in the 1970s. In 1990, U.S. District Court Judge Jose Gonzalez ruled that rap album As Nasty As They Want to Be by 2 Live Crew violated Florida's obscenity law. He declared that the predominant subject matter of the record was, quote, directed to the dirty thoughts and the loins, not the intellect of the mind. That, unquote. Direct quote from the ruling. Of course, 1990s and 2 Live Crew is basically part of the birth of the parental advisory sticker, and something that essentially, you know, of us Generation X people led our path to where we are today. I won't apologize for any 2 Live Crew listening from the day. I've grown up. I'm much better. I won't apologize for that. And yes, every so often, when I'm listening to the 80s on 8 or 90s on 9, they will pop up because they were popular and hit the charts back then. I'll sit in the parking lot. I'll be listening to songs, and then yeah, Me So Horny will pop up because it hit the charts. That's how big it was. Kids, ask your parents. In 2018, LeBron James eclipsed Michael Jordan's record of 109 for most 30-point games in NBA playoff history. Of course, still going strong 5 years later, as he has basically surpassed. I think he's number 3 overall, so somewhere in that thing. We're going to see whether he's going to play next year. Chances are he's still going to play. He's got a little more tread than some of the other guys in his age bracket, in his class of playing, and that's going on. Even though he actually started playing probably a little earlier than them because he went straight from high school. We shall see how this plays out, and if he gets 2 more years, and if his son gets drafted, and they get a chance to play together. That's right now the history on that one. They may never, ever play together, but LeBron has to choose to want to keep playing. There's also a celebration, which is really a sort of memorial today, for June 6th, D-Day. This is why it was kind of really important to actually get this product in for the can today. D-Day happened today, the invasion of Normandy, France. Now, for people who aren't down with history, you really should go back and understand how things happen, how we got to be here. Yes, Right now, America does seem kind of like a weirdish sort of dystopian place. But back in the day, the Americans and many other nations fought to keep the world from being so weird and so dystopian. And this was in World War II, the invasion of Normandy, France, essentially trying to liberate the French and the first strike to kind of take back the territories of Europe from the Nazis. Obviously, we won that one, spoiler alert, but today is a very, very big day in history. And as we get further and further away from big days in history, especially things like this, we tend to forget out of just it's not automatic. We're 22 years past 9/11, 23 years past 9/11, and now it's becoming something that so many people who weren't born or conscious then don't have it in their memory, so it's not remembered. Obviously, this thing happened way, 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 way back, so there's not much memory to it unless you hear it on a radio station or something like this. That's why it was extremely important to put this out here today. A little extra love for D-Day. Otherwise, it was going to be apple sauce spice cake, because it was the only other thing that actually popped up on the day. Applesauce spice cake, very good to have, but we want to make sure we noted this special day today, especially with all the problems we had getting today produced, to be honest. And now, one more thing you might not have heard. A study revealed the obvious. Dads play more with sons. However, the study found dads are more open about emotions with daughters. For example, dads sing more to daughters and talk more about sadness with them, and dads and daughters talk more about their child's body, whereas dads and sons use more words like win and best. But when it comes to time, dads spend 3 times longer, playtime, read that properly, dads spend 3 times longer playing than with daughters, or their sons. It seems like an obvious one, and yes it does, but sometimes the words out there in your face need to be there. Dads, and right now, as a girl dad, I do the same thing. I spend more time talking to with my daughter about emotions and stuff like that. And with boys, you really talk about sports stuff and winning and playing games. It is sort of the thing that they do. Dads have to sort to adapt to the girls, because most girls aren't into as much of the sports and winning things as boys are. It's part of the raising the kids. They are different species, they are different types of folks and need to be raised different. Yes, they can do both essentially the same things when they're older and grown, but the development is different. Trust me. With the daughter in the stage that she's in, she's definitely different than the son. And with that, we have somehow suffered through this day. Thank you for joining me for this Tuesday, June 6th edition of Things You Might Have Heard. If you're listening to the replay, none of this makes any sense. If you're watching the video, it'll make a bit more sense, but not as much. We had a very terrible, horrible, really bad day getting on the air today. So thank you so much for putting up with what you got today, because today was not top effort by any means. Meanwhile, let's just be done with this. To be honest, let's just get out of here. We want you to stay hydrated, stay limber on task. I can't not say that, because even on days like this, this is going to be the start of a very long work day that's going to be pretty frustrating. I already knew, and it started off at a very bad. The thing that gets me going, getting this thing produced, did not work out as well. So my good thing to start today already is a wash. Thank you so much for joining us and giving any comments and stuff. Loving getting the comments on the YouTube, since we're a little early, so we'll chat for a little bit. Loving the comments we're getting on YouTube from folks who are watching the video. Thank you so much for leaving those comments. Even the ones that are saying, do something about the beard. We're going to do something about the beard, but not what you want me to do. We'll put it like that. And we love the fact that you guys are responding to what's going on. If you deem us worthy, support us by going to the partnerships page or checking out our sponsors and seeing if we can get more stuff to get taken care of. I'm tired. I'm worn out. I'm done. I'm saying thanks, and I am walking away. But I'm not walking away without telling you we're posting news stories every 50 minutes on our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Check it out all day long. Give us something to talk about, and we'll be back to talk about more of it tomorrow morning.